o'clock, and that's the time that we've said that we would start so that we can finish hopefully in an hour. I'm sorry that I'm not on video this morning, but I've been on vacation for the past several days, and I have a day trip today, and so I'm calling in from my iPhone. It's really great to have you all with us. We so enjoyed having you with us over the summer months. It seemed like we took a long time to hurry up and get to our first sessions on May 19th and 20th. And before you knew it, we were at the end of August finishing up with our makeup days. So I know that although our summer was busy, your summers are always busy. As a former district person, I realize what you're going through during the summer to try to staff your schools, provide professional development for your teachers and your paraprofessionals and all of your classified staff as well. And the partnership that we had with you all this summer was just amazing and out of this world. So welcome today, and I really appreciate you joining us. If we'll move on to the next slide. I want to go ahead and make a couple of notes before we get started into the content of the support meeting today. One is to provide you the dates for the other two upcoming support meetings that we'll have with you as district leaders. One will be in October. December 12th. And then the second one will be on February 7th. Please put those on your calendar. You're always welcome, of course, to contact us anytime between, and I know we'll be talking to you individually over the months and weeks to come, but these are those days that we have designated specifically for district support days, and they will be from 9 to 10 o'clock Central Time on the morning of Tuesday, December 12th, and the morning of Tuesday, February 7th. So please save those dates. We'll also send you calendar invites, so you'll have those on your calendar. The second note that I want to make is that over the past several weeks, Jamie, with Jamie's help, and I have been trying to reconcile registrations with sign-ins, with certificates awarded and sent to your staff members. Over the coming weeks, next few weeks, I will be getting into contact with you all to start reconciling who you think you sent, who actually attended, and how that impacts our process for budgeting and invoicing. So that information is going to be coming to you as soon as I can get it to you in the next couple of weeks. Also, we do have sign-in sheets available. We've had several districts request those. We can send those to you, or you can wait, and we can talk about those when we get to the point of reconciling those lists. So with that, thank you so much again for attending today. I'm going to mute myself and listen in as you all have a session with our wonderful professional learning specialists, our support team. And Audrey, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. So we want to make sure that you have those dates on your calendar. Also, we wanted to let you know that we've updated our website and we now have a district support page on there. So you'll find access to today's materials linked on there, and also some other information that we're going to share today. So just wanted to make sure that you were aware we added this site in case you're looking for something. Additionally, one thing we noticed is we didn't have a document for you all that had all of our dates for all of the virtual sessions together. And so we worked on Monday of this week and pulled this together because some of you are partners with us from early childhood all the way through 12th grade. So we've pulled together this document for you. It is also linked on our GREC webpage, and we'll send it today as well. But it has when the sessions are going to be posted. It also has the completion date for those sessions, and then when the survey and certificates will be mailed out. So that way you kind of have those dates on your calendar as well. And those sessions, we've received lots of questions for teachers. Those are asynchronous, so completed on their own time. So they don't need a sub or anything like that. Another thing, we just wanted to be transparent in the survey that we're sending out to participants so that you know what questions we're asking people. So whenever people finish the virtual sessions, we need a little bit of demographic data to fill in for their certificate, and there are ELA hours associated with those certificates as well. So we're collecting a little bit of demographic data like their name, their school, that kind of thing. But then questions that are going to help us improve our work and our professional learning product that we then share with you all. So first of all, we just want to know, how did they complete the work? Was it as an individual in a group setting or some other way? We know some of our districts said that they wanted to try and see if people could complete this as an individual on their own. That's why we're asking this question. It's just the feasibility. Can people complete these professional learning sessions on their own? Or do they feel like they need more support in a group session? Because that, we're going to take the feedback from these and then help to improve it in our next sessions. So just wanted you to know that. Also, how confident are they in their ability to implement the learning from the virtual session? If they're not very confident, then we need to rethink how we're providing that professional learning. So it's more of a reflection for us. And then part of this work is the networking. So when we applied to KDE, part of our process was that teachers are able to network with other teachers across the Commonwealth, and we're using Flip as our platform. And so we just want to know, is that the platform that's really allowing them to learn and share with others? And as always, any other feedback that can be provided, we have that question. So that way you kind of know what the survey questions are and what data that we're asking from individuals. The other thing that we want to announce and have you go ahead and put on your calendar, you know, when we started this, we never anticipated that we would have over 1,500 educators across the Commonwealth joining us. And one thing we noticed this summer is that GREC is going to be a little bit small in terms of facilities. So next year, when we end year one, early childhood through grade 5, we're going to meet on June 7th at the Carol Nicely Center. And we are going to start year 2 on June 8th. And the same thing for secondary 6 through 12, and then all of K through 12 for Beyond the Core. That's going to be on Thursday, June 22nd and Friday, June 23rd. And we hope to have our registration information available at the next district support meeting. So we wanted to go ahead and give you those dates. And that way we will be able to bring, for example, in our intermediate academy, we have over 300 educators. So we'll be able to bring them together all on the same day so that they truly are able to network across the Commonwealth with all of the teachers. We're also going to have our makeup days in August of next year, and we'll be sharing those soon as well. So just wanted to give you those dates. I know teachers are planning vacations and things right now, so that way you have those to hold on your calendar. Okay, early childhood, Jamie and Allison.
Good morning. We are so excited to be here with you today. I feel like I should start off with hello friends, because that's how I start off with our early childhood folks all the time. Michelle, are you on? I invite you to introduce yourself.
I am. Sorry, it's 7 o'clock where I am. I'm in Montana. I am dressed and I've already showered and everything. So hold on. I'm just not dressed very professionally. I'm in a sweatshirt because we're getting ready to go hiking. But I'm Michelle McClowan, and I just joined GREC in June, or well, July 1. And I'm kind of supporting pre-K through 5th grade, and then the elementary Beyond the Core Academy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And Jamie,
Yes.
we're glad you're with us, Michelle.
Yes. Thank you, Allison. And hi, Michelle. Glad that you're going to get to hike this morning and have some time off. I'm Jamie Spagnardi, and I work with early childhood. And I like to say I'm shake and bake. I do what I can to help with the sessions and the coaching. And I've worked a little bit of planning the math this time. So enjoy that work with early childhood. Thank you.
And then, Jamie, am I correct? I don't believe Melanie is with us today.
You are correct.
Okay. Melanie Napier works with coaching, and she primarily coaches our child care folks, but she's also an integral part of Early Childhood Literacy Academy and each of the trainings that we do. So we just wanted you to see there are 4 of us, and Jamie is not shake and bake. She is very much a part of the team, not just for me, but for all of us. So I just want to go over really quickly and briefly again what our foundational components are for the Early Childhood Literacy Academy. These are evidence-based foundations. So UDL and dialogic reading, we did quite a lot of that, those strategies and model experiences at May during our kickoff session. Literacy rich environment, looking at both the physical environment and social emotional environment. That was the key for our first virtual session. Phonological awareness will be coming up in our October virtual session. Family literacy is going to be our closing day core focus, and writing is going to be in our third virtual session. Those virtual sessions I just mentioned, there are the dates for you. Audrey shared those earlier. Our first virtual session actually closes tomorrow at midnight. And I'll share more about that in just a minute. We've had a great response. Our second virtual session will be posted October 1st. The way mine works is they have about 45 days to watch the virtual session, implement in their classroom, come back and record. And then Jamie and I have about 15 days to watch and give feedback and send out the certificates of the surveys, which will generate a certificate of completion. Our third virtual session will be on February 1st, and our last in-person, our closing in-person day is on the 7th. And that is the day that Audrey shared that's going to be more like a conference at Carroll Nicely next year. Okay. I just went over the sessions, and Audrey has mentioned we do host these on the platform of Flip. And I just want to share with you some data because I think that this is powerful. Now, again, I'm still having teachers, educators submit today. They have really started flooding in, and all night. The same will happen tomorrow. And likely probably through Friday morning of this week. But we are at, for that first session, almost 2,000 views of watching each other's videos in that network. We're at 1,849 views on our Creating a Literacy Rich Environment.
And that's with 145 people. So they're watching multiple times, watching each other. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm. It is incredible. I have 127 comments. And again, know that I have only gone through so far and commented on a little less than half of those videos, because half of the videos that are posted right now have come in since last Friday, and I've had other commitments. And then once that window closes, I'm going to go on and watch and give feedback to everyone. But 127 comments. So far and above, I think only 13 or 15 of those comments are from me. The rest are all from our network participants. They're writing things like, this is such a great idea. I use this for literacy, but this is how I'm going to change it. They are learning from each other. It is incredibly powerful to go see that. And we are about at 33 hours of in-time work for them. So that means at just a minute or two a time, they're recording videos, responding to each other, and watching each other's. So I think that's really powerful. I just pulled up the data and the numbers to share with you. So that's how our Flipgrid is going. We have enjoyed immensely seeing their classrooms and seeing how their spaces are set up and learning from them. So yes, so this is that first Flipgrid that I mentioned. If you'd like to take a look at that, what we ask, you can scan that QR code if you'd like to take a look at that. What we ask for each participant to do, if we go to the next slide, is we ask them to watch the introduction video. Now the hours are not include, like when I say 33 hours, that's not including my 24-minute introduction video because that's hosted on YouTube. So Flip isn't counting that because they're watching it through YouTube. They don't know that it's hosted on YouTube though, because I've embedded it. They have a choice board and they try this or that strategy. So like this time they had the example of creating a physical literacy rich environment or an social emotional literacy rich environment with dialogic reading. They record a Flipgrid, they respond to 2 others in our network, and then they will complete a Google form. That Google form will go out by October 1st. When they submit that Google form, and that is the Google form that Audrey shared earlier. That's the survey she shared earlier. They will get an automatically generated certificate, just like they did during our May session. If you're curious and you want to see more specific strategies, like I've mentioned, universal design learning and model lessons, I've mentioned dialogic reading, you can find that in our handbook. The image of the handbook on the slide deck, when we send that out, it is linked. It's also linked on our website. Each participant got a handbook this summer. So you can access that, but that's where you'll find model lessons and all of the strategies that we're using this year. I also create new things and include those in the Flipgrid that they can download also. I do have a literacy workshop coming up, not this Friday, but next Friday. We have a few spots still available. If you would like to come to that, it's for my new book, which is 50 hands-on advanced literacy strategies for young learners. If you're interested in that and you would like to send someone to that, just let us know and we'll be happy to help you get registered. The other upcoming workshop that would align well with this work if you have teachers looking for additional professional development is a STEAM and SEL workshop. And it is looking at we have beyond the core for all of the other grade levels. This one is really how do we take STEAM, so science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, and combine literacy and social emotional learning. So and we do have a little space left in that one too. That one is on December 2nd. So you are always welcome to join us at any of these. It is absolutely not mandatory, but I wanted you to know I'm here to answer any questions that you might have about it. Feel free to reach out. All our work we think does support each other. So they're going to be interconnected. I'm going to use the same foundational evidence-based practices, and the same is true for each of us. Any other private workshop we offer will always align to core components. Jamie, is there anything you want to add?
No, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Audrey.
Okay, Kate. Hi, my name is Kate Winteska, and I lead the K-2 Primary Literacy Academy. And so this summer we met and we really talked about what is the science of reading and what is structured literacy. And so the science of reading is the research. It is the meta-analysis, it is research articles, and then structured literacy is what does it actually look like in the classroom. And so this summer on this slide, you can see these are all the materials that teachers received this summer and that we modeled together. We talked so we did multisensory tools such as the sand and the counters, finger tapping. We talked about blending boards, and then also explicit instruction. And so throughout all of this was a theme of until every child reads, because what we know is research says with explicit and systematic instruction, 95% of students are able to read proficiently without special education supports. And that's huge. And so let's start aligning our practices with those practices that make sense. Now, I threw in some admin homework for you all. If you're interested, I would encourage you to engage in these 2 articles. The first one is a podcast from Amplify. It is called Literacy Change Makers. You can listen at 1.5 speed and it only takes about 40 minutes. And then there's an article called Hard Words that you can also listen to via podcast or read it. And these 2 really set a good foundation for you as an administrative team, to have your principals listen
listen to have conversations about, okay, what things need to shift? And then how can we as admin support what is going on in our classrooms and the learning that teachers are doing? So this is your kind of a homework assignment, and they're really, really good. And so I could see this is definitely something that you could definitely listen or read to yourself, washing dishes, car ride home, but then ask your as principals and assistant principals and coaches to do as well. So this summer, we talked about what is explicit instruction, and the idea that whole group explicit instruction is necessary and has a place in our classrooms. And so if all students have to be exposed to that grade level content, and not just passively, but actively. And so we are describing what sounds look like. We're modeling them with mirrors. We're giving students opportunities to practice and in the moment feedback. And so all of those materials were in their kits. And then we also talked about a daily drill called the 3-part drill. It's a visual, auditory, and kinesthetic routine. So as you are in classrooms and your principals are in classrooms, you should see a 3-part drill. It is a very quick routine. It fits into any curriculum, and a lot of curriculums already have it embedded. So Into Reading has a 3-part drill that is almost embedded. So they have parts of it. So we talked about how do we amplify that. Recipe for Reading, 95%. And so absolutely. So this is something you'll see in the classrooms. And then other strategies that we worked on this summer were explicit instruction, the idea of getting mirrors out and doing mirror work, finger and arm tapping to cross that midline, word mapping or orthographic mapping. So rather than doing sight words and memorization, we map words, blending boards, quite a few different games to give us quick practice opportunities like blending squares and open sorts, and then lots and lots of multisensory tools. Multisensory tools help connect hemispheres of the brain, and every virtual session, your teachers will get a new multisensory tool to try out in their classroom. So virtual session 1 launches tomorrow. Woohoo! And so it is all about phonemic awareness and being able to hear, say, and manipulate sounds. And we're going to be myth busting some of the things. We're going to be myth busting some of the things that we've been told about phonemic awareness, like phonemic awareness should be done in the dark, but really should it? There's a lot of new evidence and meta-analysis that says it shouldn't. And then we're going to get a new, we'll be using the foam tiles for our multisensory tool. Then in virtual session 2 in January, we're going to be talking about blending and how do we intervene for students who are struggling with blending. Because blending is the most important phonemic awareness skill to build readers. And so there will be actually 2 multisensory tools in this kit. And then in the virtual session in March, we're going to be talking about dictation. So how do we build this and to make sure that writing is connected? And so specifically working on spelling. And then on June 7th, our wrap-up day, we're going to launch the writing connection. So how does this, we know that structured literacy is not just phonics. It is also language comprehension, and writing is part of that. And so really setting the foundation for our year 2 events. So we'll also be using Flipgrid to share. Teachers have a month to complete them based on your schedule and what teachers need. And so, and then I am so excited to launch our first virtual session by end of day tomorrow. And so, some just previews of what that looks like. As you have questions, as you're in buildings and you're wondering, what should I see? Definitely reach out and let us know. We're always, we can partner to do some slice protocols or building walkthroughs. All those types of things are options within the KYCL grant.
Thank you, Kate. And just a reminder, admin can join any of the Flipgrid or the Flip groups. So we're providing those codes. So if you want to hop in and see how people are engaging from your district or watch the videos for professional learning, just wanted to make sure that you knew you can always hop into those. Up next, we have intermediate with Sarah and Michelle.
Good morning. I'm coming to you from Owensboro Public Schools, where I've had a beautiful morning observing and working with Ms. Caudle, who's fabulous. So super excited to work with Michelle McClellan to lead the Intermediate Literacy Academy. And you guys, you met Michelle. If Michelle, you chime in. If you hear something you want to add, you just jump right in. So this was sort of the framework for the Academy. We wanted to think about the skills associated with reading, and then how those skills, as we start going deeper into the learning, really help the students to have a will to read, and then also how, as you go even deeper, that will becomes a thrill to do something with it. So what does text inspire us to do next? And so this is sort of the model of learning that we are going to work through over the course of the Academy. And this year we have focused mostly on that surface level learning, surface acquiring, and surface consolidating. And as we move into next year, we're heading into the deep acquiring. And then by the end of the third year, we should have some good strategies for deep consolidating and transferring learning. And then also some great strategies for helping kids to do something with that text that they've read. So this summer, we started out with some great strategies that you could be watching for as you go and observe your teachers. We did Just Like Me, which is an SEL strategy. We used a read aloud, and we did the golden line, and the think, pair, share, highlighting as a pre-reading and during reading routines. So we talked a lot about routines this summer. And building those routines in our classroom so that those basic skills, those basic foundational skills will become the students will be able to pick up on those faster if we've got routines in the classroom. And then see, think, and wonder, and 3, 2, 1, summarize. And moving forward, we will be building onto those strategies. We've already dropped our first virtual session, and we have had 96 views on the video so far. We've got almost 300 people in our academy. So that's, we're doing pretty good considering it just dropped on September 1st. They should finish up by the 30th. And then I'm going to be working on getting them their feedback through October 15th. And I've had a couple of people email me about extending those dates. And so I do want to say about the date extensions. The way that the calendar is, we want to work with you. That's the first thing I want to say. But then the calendar is set up where I've got a certain amount of time to get these things worked in because I have other things that I'm doing as well. And so what will happen is if you've extended your dates for your teachers, that's fine, but it might take me a while to get their feedback to them. So please be patient with me as I try to get that feedback. But yes, willing to work with you on that. So, okay, can you go back one? Just go back one. Okay, so then you'll have virtual sessions. 2 is going to be about text structures, and the kits are already put together. They've already got their kit at home or at school so that they can pull those materials out to work through that session. And then in April, we'll be looking at the reading writing connection. And then next summer on the 7th, we'll be looking at collaborative reasoning. Thanks, Audrey. All right, so they've already signed up in their Flip groups. And I've had a couple of teachers email me that it seems like it's working well, things are going well. And what they'll do is they'll watch the training video that I sent out. They'll complete the learning activities, and then they'll make their own flip video with a reflection of the learning. Then they can respond to each other in the flip videos. And I had a principal email me and ask, what is his job in all of this? He got the link too, and he wonders, is he supposed to do the learning reflection? District leaders, you're welcome to do a learning reflection, and I'll respond to you as well. However, if you want to join those Flipgrid groups for just for the purpose of watching your teachers and giving them feedback and seeing how they're experiencing things, or just getting ideas that you can share with your other teachers who are not in the academy, maybe, then that would be fine too. So once they finish, they'll receive feedback from me. They'll take a survey, and we'll send the certificate.
And Sarah, I was just going to chime in too. If the principals complete that session through Flipgrid, there's ELA hours associated with that. So they'll be able to get their ELA hours that way.
Perfect. All right. So in the first session, we learned about morphology and vocabulary. And so whenever you're watching in classrooms, then you might be thinking about, how are the teachers using morphology to elevate their vocabulary instruction? And then you might be thinking about taking a look at your vocabulary instruction that's happening. In the videos, there was a discussion about the learning progression of vocabulary knowledge. And so you might, vocabulary instruction, so you might take a look at that and then think about how that's working in your school. And then also there's some strategies in there. So you might be looking to see if the teachers are implementing the strategies after September 30th to see if that learning is continuing throughout the year. And they'll have their kits with them. These are the things that they got in their kits this time. They've got a great text. It's building vocabulary with Greek and Latin roots. It's not a prescribed curriculum. It has wonderful strategies in it. So dig in there, take a look at that book. And then there's a word, the index cards, sticky clips, and vocabulary mapping will work to help them put together a word wall. So if you're using word walls in your buildings already, see how this one might be different. It's interactive. It could be that you're already using interactive word walls. This not doesn't take away from anything you're already doing with word walls. So just an addition. And thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now we're going to talk about secondary and beyond the core. So we've had a new staff member join us, a professional learning specialist. So Nicole, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
That's me. Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole Clark, and I just started at GREC on August the 15th. So I'm already I've already jumped in, I feel like, and I was at Owensboro Middle yesterday, and I already have dates set up for all of Owensboro Public Schools, Todd County, and Crittenden County. So I'm really looking forward. Yesterday was a great day at Owensboro Middle, and so I'm really looking forward to getting to work with all the schools and the teachers and all the districts. So I'm really excited about this work.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'm Audrey Harper. So I help facilitated the middle school, the high school, and secondary beyond the core sessions this summer. Just wanted to make sure, again, here are the individual dates for Secondary Literacy Academy. If you want to send those out, again, we have them on the main chart as well at the beginning. This first session is going to be released October 1st. It's going to focus on vocabulary. The next one is reading comprehension. And then we're going to dig into the interdisciplinary literacy practices. And we're going to dig into disciplinary writing when we come back together in June. Beyond the core, those sessions are the same as secondary. So you have those dates as well. And I believe the first one for secondary, again, vocabulary, then reading comprehension, the interdisciplinary literacy practices, and then disciplinary writing at the in-person event.
And Audrey.
Yes, Michelle. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, on that, the elementary dates will be for Beyond the Core will be the same. So that academy, the elementary K-5 is transitioning from Kate Winteska to me. And so we will be dropping at the same time as the high school to keep that consistent. And since we will be with the high school, the secondary group in June, our topics are going to remain the same. So Audrey, Nicole, and I will be planning together for those things.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Michelle. I couldn't see you over here on the list, so I didn't know if you were still with us. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, a list of the summer strategies are included here. So if administrators are wondering, what did my teachers learn? Or let me have a list of those strategies so I can see if teachers are using them. You have those linked here as well. And then also a link to all of the flip groups. And just a reminder, those are asynchronous and can be completed within 30 days. One thing that's unique about secondary is that we are going to have disciplinary experts responding. So we had Dr. Kirchner, we also had Martha Tudor, and then we're also going to have another math consultant providing feedback on those sessions as well. So they'll get to hear from those discipline-specific leaders. The first one's going to be about vocabulary. So I just wanted to give you all a heads up. It's coming in October, and it's really going to be about which words do I teach and how do I teach them. And I will tell you, we've had feedback because people have said, well, Audrey, we've been in this program or this program for 2 years. Or we have people who are just starting out and who are option 6. So as we try to provide a variety of different strategies, I want to make sure that people aren't overwhelmed. So that's kind of the district and school level support your teachers will need, is saying, okay, when there are choices, where are you? Have you been in this grant for 3 years, or are you a brand new teacher? And trying to help them find something that's an entry point for them into the work. I wanted to go ahead and just provide you a list. They did get the visible learning for their subject area. And so just so you know, some of those pages that are coming up that we're going to reference, I wanted to include those in the slides for you so you had access to them. And you can see those. And then here is our big announcement for our session next year on June 23rd, which is that Friday, which is year 2, day 1 kickoff. Doug Fisher is going to be spending the day with us. And we've talked about feedback. Feedback is in the surface level and the deeper level learning, which is in the visible learning work. And he's going to talk about how does feedback work. And each participant will also receive a copy of his new book that just was published this month about feedback. So Doug Fisher is going to be coming and joining us and talking about how does feedback work. And then we're going to tie this to literacy and providing feedback to students. So just wanted to make sure you had that on your calendar. And he's also a co-author of all of the visible learning books that your teachers received this year. So we want to pause now and open it up for Q&A to see what questions you might have. Nicole and Jamie have been monitoring the chat box to see if there are questions, or if you would like to unmute and ask a question.
Thank you, Audrey. When you put Doug Fisher up there and you talk about him being the opening day for year 2, it kind of connects to one of the questions that we've had in the chat box. And so I can see how, we put out 2 dates, and sometimes this gets a little confusing, especially since last year our schema, our context was we put out 2 dates and you could choose. So our 2 dates this time for summer of 2023, they're not choices. It's a big conference. We're going to bring in folks, like Doug Fisher. We're going to bring in some, we're going to have, of course, the finest right there from Greg, our professional learning specialist, but also we're going to, it's going to be a little bit different. And Audrey mentioned it's going to be an opportunity to work with all the teachers at your grade band, because last year we had to divide folks in half. And so this allows you to network with all of the districts participating across the state. So when you look at those dates, just as a reminder, like for early childhood through grade 5, June 7 ends year 1. And I know, you talk with Dana Steele and about you're going to be sending your budgets in soon, and you're going to be talking about your year 2 soon. So June 8th starts on June 8th. Year 2 starts on June 8th. So that's day 1 of year 2. So on that day, it will be, for our participants, we hope it feels a little more seamless than that. But for grant funding, the dollars that pay for June 8th and June 23 are year $2. And I know those of you managing the grant, that makes sense to you. But it's just, it's important to think about that, not as choices, but they will need both experiences if you choose to keep GREC as your vendor. And of course, we know that's an if, and we appreciate your business. And that's why when we started out, Steve mentioned that we would have, and Audrey mentioned that we would have information about signing up for year 2 before our next meeting. Does that make sense? Or do we have more questions about that? And you're welcome to put any questions in the chat too.
So I think I'm getting this, but I do have a question. So we did not send all of our teachers for year 1 to participate in the academy. So you're saying they need to attend both, but I'm like, what if it's a teacher who's going to be starting year 2? They would just come on June 8th, right?
Oh, you're right. Thank you, Amy. That's
Okay.
why we need clarifying. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Yes. So June 7th for the early childhood through grade 5, and then June 22nd for secondary and beyond the core. That ends up year 1. So just the people that attended summer, May and June and July of summer of 22 would come back for that one. But if you're sending additional teachers, then the full crew would come back on the second day. That's a great question.
And so this is, I know it's going to be a little bit different because I know secondary and intermediate are running cohort models. Kate, is primary running a cohort model as well?
We are. So K through 12 is running a cohort model. Audrey, do you want to explain what that means?
Yes. So when we designed our professional learning plan, as you remember, Sarah was talking about the skill, will, and thrill, and about surface, deep, and transfer. So that's how the K through 12 is set up, is what you learn in year 1, we're going to add on to in year 2, and we're going to add on in year 3. So Amy, you said, I have some people and I want to send them to the academy. Well, we're going to publish our July dates soon. And your new group will come on that July date and go through the learning that your group went through this year. So for example, like the secondary is really built on visible learning and understanding the foundations, and then about the surface, the deep, and transfer level learning. And so they will get that foundation next year in the July. Now, Steve and I have talked because, we are bringing in Doug Fisher, and he is such a great speaker to listen to. And so we might have additional seats available for purchase. If you have people and you say, well, I also want this person to go in and to go ahead and hear from Doug Fisher, then you'll be able to purchase that day a la carte.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm understanding on that we had in Crittenden County, all of our staff, except for a few that had some obligations on the days that the trainings were from this past summer, attended. So we tried to go for 100% of our staff for year 1 to train this past summer. So they need to train on the 22nd for my K through 5, or on June 7th, and then on the 22nd for my 6 through 12 and beyond the core. And that finishes their obligation for year 1. That gives the 6-hour training from summer 22, the 6-hour training from summer 23, and then the 3 video sessions. That completes the 18 hours from the provider.
That is correct.
Okay, good. So then do they also come on the 8th and the 23rd to start off that professional learning in person for year 2? That's where I'm kind of confused.
Yes. So if you say Greg is going to be our service provider next year, then they're going to come back that next day
Okay.
and start year 2 with us.
Okay, and that may be where ours is going to get different. I know we were going to go with Greg year 1, then year 2, our pre-K through 5th grade are going to do letters. So that will be our provider. I'm assuming next year because we're going to try to tackle that. We didn't want to do both in the same year. It was going to be too much. And then I'm assuming we'll then at that point in budgeting, think about asking Greg again for year 2 with our secondary folks and beyond the core, or with another provider as far as what our needs will be on that year 2. Am I understanding that correct? Is that kind of like a plan? That makes sense?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
So year 2, if you say Greg is going to be our service provider, they come back on June 8th for early childhood through grade 5. But if you say we're going to do letters, then they just come and finish up year 1 on June 7th.
Gotcha. That makes it clear. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Stacy, I'm sorry, I'm not understanding. Oh, never mind. Jamie's already answered. Thank you so much, Jamie.
Oh, well, go ahead, Stacy. Ask Stacy to talk, Nicole. I'm sorry. I was just answering in the chat, but that's when Audrey was speaking about a year 1, there will be a model that we can still provide year 1, and we'll do it differently based on the cohort model or the grade band. But the answer is yes, but let's talk about it.
Stacy, did you want to clarify, or does that answer your question? We just want to make sure we are answering everyone's questions.
Sorry, I'm on my way to a funeral, so I'm just kind of listening and chatting in too. So yes, that clarifies my question.
Good deal. Thank you.
So when we put out the registration this later in the fall, when Steve sends that out, there will be a mechanism for you to choose if this is a return year 2 or if it's going to be year 1. I don't know how that will look yet, but there'll be a need for that.
And Jamie, the other question that you answered in the chat, I'll go ahead and say out loud for anyone that's driving and might not be able to look at the chat. We had a question that was about the certificates and how districts will know. Typically, what we have done in the past and what we're doing this year is those certificates will be emailed directly to the teacher once they finish that survey, and then they will submit those certificates to you just like they submit PD certificates to you for your records so that you can keep those.
Hi, everyone. I do have a quick follow-up question on that. I'm assuming the virtual sessions, the 3 that occurred throughout the school year, are each of those anticipated to take participants about 2 hours? So they add up to 6. Just we had the summer session that was 6 hours. The in-person event this next summer, which will be 6 hours. So I'm assuming they're 2 hours each for the virtuals to add up to 18 total. Just want to anticipate that for stipend purposes.
Absolutely. Yes, that's a great question. Our goal when we design these is for them to take about 2 hours by the time they watch the video, process it, read any supporting materials, create something to try out with their children, then come back and network and share what they've done and reply to each other. We even get feedback from each other, like, I'm thinking this is going to take about 2 hours. We tried ourselves, but that is always our goal for each of those sessions to take about 2 hours. Does anybody have anything else they want to add to that?
And our certificate gives 2 hours of PD or ELA credit. And of course, it might not be PD credit. per se. It may be it may be more of an attendance piece, but because if they're doing it during the school day, that's another reason why Greg needs you guys to decide how you decide how the credit goes, because if it's something they did beyond the school day or if they're able to do it during the school day, and that best. We don't know those types of things. So our certificate says they've completed the 2 hours of work. So it meets the grant expectations, Kelly, that way.
Yeah, but Jamie is correct, because some people are doing it in PLCs. Some teachers are doing it on their own time at school. And then some districts have decided, no, it's totally on your own time after school and you can have PD credit for that. But that's all a decision we left up to the districts for that. And there is another question in the chat box. Can you help clarify cohorts? If we have new teachers next year, cohort 2, will they attend the second summer date beginning on July 8th and June 8th and June 23rd? So Dawn, I invite you to mic on and add more about that question, but I think that's probably for our K-12 folks to explain a little more about the cohort model.
So for K through 12, if you are bringing in brand new teachers who did not attend this year, those brand new teachers are going to come in July for 1 day. But if you have teachers who went through the academies this summer and they're going to end year 1 on June 7th and June 22nd, and then they're going to start year 2 on June 8th and June 23rd. And what I'm thinking is this kind of signifies to us, we need to make a graphic. So we need to make a document and kind of send this out to you. So we'll get to work on that this week and try and get that to you within 7 days so that you can kind of see what that looks like and everything, because we know you're working on your budgets and you need to plan.
So Audrey, this is Julie from Casey County. So our brand new teachers will still attend the kickoff for day 2 in June, but in July, they would attend the first day, or I guess I'm confused on that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that.
No, you're brand new teachers. So
Yes.
if I did not attend this year, the only day I have to come this summer is in July.
Well, okay, and that makes sense because they're not needing those 6 hours from year 1.
Right.
I've got
Now, if you say, no, we really want them to, these individuals to come in here from Doug Fisher and they get an additional 6 hours, then Steve will create an independent registration just for that day.
Okay.
If you want to purchase that option.
Okay, so that will be available, but for planning purposes and budgeting for right now, the new teachers, which obviously we may not have in June yet. So, okay, that clarifies that. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Audrey.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. It's Amy from Crittenden again. I have a question on makeups. I had a few staff this past summer who was not able to attend their year 1 training due to COVID, of course. And then when the makeups came about in August, that was our opening week because we started really late. And so we didn't have them come for that makeup. How will I handle my handful of staff that never got that summer training of 22?
That's a great question. And we have been talking with Dana about that as well. And so I think there might just be a handful. Jamie and Allison, I know at the early childhood, have created a virtual session. And that is something that the K through 12 team has been talking about. So after our meeting with Dana, but people have been on vacation and different things. So we haven't been able to be in a room to have a conversation. So with all that, I think that's the conversation let's have. So let's schedule a call and let's see if we can maybe get them in ahead of time in some way, or if they have to come. We had originally talked about that group coming to the day 1 day that's offered in the summer of 2023 in July. Does that make sense?
Hello, this is Steve. What I plan on doing, and we had a team meeting last week as well, and to add to Audrey's comment, is I will send out, or I will call the district lead over the next 2 weeks and gauge how many people you have that did not participate in year one but are hired this year. Those numbers of people that will need year one, and then we can go from there for planning. If we have 25 to 50 for a grade level band, that's different than only having a handful like 5 or 6. So the numbers from districts are really going to help us gauge how we need to provide those summer sessions for people who were not in attendance. I hope that helps. But just as I reach out to you all over the next couple of weeks with the numbers, and that will help you all make sure that your numbers look like our numbers. And when we get that all reconciled, then our staff can do a better job of planning how to provide those day one sessions to your staff.
Yes. And, Steve, you make me think about something we talked about in our team meetings too, is that as you have new staff and you have other staff that are beginning the virtual work, that is something that if, for instance, if you're working in a PLC, you're working together, the new staff could begin the understanding and some of that asynchronous virtual session so that, they're not totally cold. So like, for instance, for audition, Amy, if it's okay, I'll use your person as an example. Amy had a new teacher that was hired that just started in fact, they just started their preschool last week. And so the person's going to watch the virtual session, that 6-hour work, but immediately they're joining in with the others on their team and they're going ahead and doing the 2-hour virtual. So, it's an immersion into the work, and then there'll be a backup to do the day one, if that makes sense. So, even if they haven't had their day one yet, they could begin the virtual work although it's, it may be a little fuzzy for them, but they have their team of folks with them that could help that.
It provides a great opportunity for those who were trained this summer to start sharing what they learned with colleagues that weren't able to attend. There's nothing wrong with going ahead and sharing. Actually, we had that question on our event survey. You all remember that. We'll remember the question about, will I share my learning? That's a great way to begin collegiality and working at PLC. So the work doesn't, because they didn't attend in the summer, doesn't mean the work can't go ahead and be shared and started among new staff members.
We have a few more minutes before 10 o'clock, so I just want to open it up. Any other questions? Okay, well, as I had a good friend once always said, well, if all hearts and minds are clear, then we just want to thank you all. Thank you again for your partnership. Please continue to reach out, giving us feedback so that we can continue to improve the experience for you and your teachers. We want to make sure that the professional learning is relevant, is also manageable, and it's impactful. So please let us know, email, call us. How can we help support you?
Wendy, if you'll stay on, and Jamie and Audrey, if you guys will stay on, maybe we can clarify for Wendy's question.
Mm-hmm.